Hello and welcome to episode 2 of How to Code Games in BBC Basic. In this episode we're going to be looking at the sound and the envelope statement. These are two very important commands in BBC Basic that help you control and create interesting sound effects. Now, in this video, we're going to start off in the BBC Micro itself, or at least within my Beeb emulator, and have a very quick crash course in how the sound statement itself works, and then we'll look to see how the Cosmic Invaders program makes use of envelopes to extend the abilities of the humble sound statement. So if you think about the sound statement itself, it's basically made up of 4 different parameters. The first one is a channel number, where generally speaking you will tend to use 1 as a default. We will experiment with a couple of other values there, but it can only take a value of 0, 1, 2 or 3, and in general you would stick with a 1. The second value is the amplitude, which is essentially the volume of the sound. The third value is the pitch, which is like the frequency of the note. So essentially that controls how high or low pitched the sound is. And then the final one is just how long you want it to play for. So if we run this simple sound statement that we've got on the screen here, we get a very straightforward beep. Now I can modify that just to show the differences. We'll start off by modifying the pitch of the note, keep the same duration and everything else the same. You can see that the pitch has now dropped, and likewise if I wanted to I could ratchet up the pitch a bit more. And you can see that it's now much more high pitched. That value can go up as high as 255, so I could put it up to the maximum. And likewise, I could take it all the way down to 0, which is a very low pitch. So that's really all that third value is doing. It's just controlling the pitch of the overall note. So nice and straightforward. So what about that first value? Well, if you experiment with values 1, 2, or 3, you won't notice that much of a difference. So if I play the note again, and then if I modify that to the second channel, it sounds very, very similar. And likewise, the third channel, still not really that much of a difference. The big difference comes in if I change it to a 0, however, leave everything else the same. And you can see that something strange is happening now. We've got a very kind of weird squeaky sound. And likewise, if I experiment with the 0 channel, and let's go up to note 100 now, we move into the realms of white noise, which is very useful for explosions and other kinds of sound effects. So channel 0 is a slightly more experimental one. You can use it to basically come up with weird kinds of swishes and pops and clicks and sort of noises of that nature. And channel 1 in general is where you will sit if you want to play conventional musical sounding notes. But that's really the full extent of what the sound statement can do. I mean, I could obviously experiment by changing the duration. So if I wanted to go back to note 100 and make it even longer, just plays it for even longer. So again, not doing a huge amount. What about if I experiment with that second value, the amplitude? So how about if I bring that from -15 to a value of 15 instead? Not very much happens. So let's try a different negative value. Let's try -10 instead. And now you can see why if I put it all the way up to +15, you don't hear anything, because actually what it's controlling essentially is the volume of the note. So at 15, you basically can't hear anything, and at -15, it's at its maximum volume. Most BBC micro games seem to like occupying the -15 volume range. If you've ever played a Beeb game, you know they tend to be pretty noisy. But you can aim for something a little bit softer, somewhere in between. And you'll get a sound around that sort of area. So that's really what that second value is doing. So as I say, from the values of -15 through to +15, and that's pretty much the full extent of what you can do with the sound statement on its own. But is there more to it than that? Is sound not perhaps a little bit more complex than just a particular note at a particular volume for a particular duration? Maybe played on a slightly odd channel, perhaps to achieve white noise. Well, actually, the BBC Micro allows you to control the texture of the sound as well. And that actually gives you the ability to play around with how that note is played, which sounds like a tautology, but it's really not. So what we're going to do is we're going to experiment with the envelope statement. Now I'm not going to go into the details of exactly how an envelope statement is written, because there are plenty of excellent resources online which I would recommend you read more if you're interested in understanding the full extent of how the envelope statement is created. But the reason why I've been using line 10 for each of these sound statements rather than just running them directly is because actually I prepared 3 envelope statements prior to starting to record this video, and these are actually the 3 envelope statements from Cosmic Invaders. And envelopes, although they're not strictly speaking variables, they are things that you can define within a program, and then you can reference them when you call a sound statement. So the sound statement works in combination with the envelope. The envelope by itself doesn't do anything, but when you invoke it as part of the sound statement, you can then use it to control the note. So let's have a quick reminder of what our current note sounds like. I'm going to ratchet up the volume a bit again so that we can hear it nice and clearly. Nice straightforward beep. Now, if I want to make use of the envelope, what I can do is, given that I've now got the envelopes in play, I can reference it within the sound statement. So instead of using my -15 as an amplitude, because I've defined 3 envelopes in this program, 1, 2, and 3, which you can see there as the first number of the envelope. Please ignore the rest of the numbers. As I say, if you're interested in understanding that in more detail, I would recommend reading up about the envelope statement. But the first number is the thing that identifies it as a unique envelope. So if I want to use that envelope with my sound command, I simply put a 1 here, for example, if I want to use that first envelope instead of the -15 value. And now the envelope here is actually controlling the volume over the length of the note. So it wouldn't be that noticeable if I only played the note for, say, 5 instead of 20 at the end there. But because I've got it on at 20, you can actually hear the note gradually fading away, which is the effect of that first envelope. What about the second envelope? Well, let's switch to the second envelope. Try again. Now that envelope has a much, much greater impact on the overall sound statement. So it's actually playing around with the range of which that note occupies. It's kind of making it go up in a kind of strange kind of sequence. But it's still the same sound command, just using a different envelope. And finally, we'll experiment with the third envelope. So we'll invoke 3 here. Now that is starting to sound a lot more like the kind of sound effect that you might have in a game. So we've got another envelope there, which is controlling, again, the sort of structure and texture of the overall note. And that's really what the envelopes are for. They give your sounds a slightly better texture and just make them generally more interesting, really. So that's envelopes, and if we jump back into the program code, we can see that they are in fact defined at the top of the program, just along with everything else. So effectively working a bit like a variable, but they're not strictly speaking variables, they are of course envelopes. So here we are back in the program, and we can see lines 80, 90, and 100 are exactly the same envelopes that I was playing around with in my Beeb emulator just now. And they occupy the same sort of section of the program as everything else in terms of defining variables, and they work very much like a variable. As I say, they're not strictly speaking variables, but that's how you could kind of think about them. And if we scroll further down into the program, you can actually see sound statements referencing them. So for example, if we get down to the, where are we here? This procedure here, we haven't looked at procedures properly yet, but this is a procedure that controls the movement of the flying saucer that appears at the top of the screen periodically. What you can see here is that it's invoking a sound statement. Now, this is using the sound statement in a slightly different way to the way that we saw it being used above, because instead of using a conventional number at the start, it's using a hexadecimal value. More about that in a later video, but the most important thing to note is the use of the envelope here. And again, if you look at the proc fire statement down here, which is another procedure controlling the firing of missiles, again, the second parameter in the row is a number 2, which means it's using the second of the 3 envelopes that we have defined at the top of the program. So that's really all there is to sound an envelope. Of course, if the envelopes didn't exist at the top, then these numbers here would actually be doing something different. They would be controlling the amplitude of the overall note. But because we've got envelopes defined, that number is now doing something else. So instead of controlling the volume, it's actually controlling the texture of the note itself. Now, before we close out this video, it's probably worth commenting on a couple of other aspects of the program, not strictly related to sound, but it's important to reference them now before we move on to other things. The first is that this is a program written entirely in mode 7. Now that's slightly unusual for Beeb games. A lot of Beeb games are written in either mode 2 or one of the other modes that uses perhaps a combination of 4 colors. Mode 7 is more better known as the Teletext mode, which is also the same screen resolution and general display that you would see if you were looking at something like CFAX or Teletext back in the day when that used to be something that was available through televisions in the UK. We will be looking at Mode 7 in more detail in later videos and explaining how it works in terms of controlling text and graphics on the screen, but the most important thing to see here is that we set the mode of the overall program very near the beginning of the program itself, and it doesn't change throughout the rest of the program. We have another line here, so this colon is indicating that we're on to a second line. So although we're still 60 as far as line numbers are concerned, you can think of this as being like line 61 potentially. And this is saying on error, go to line 3240. So we will just quickly go down to line 3240, and we can see that we've got an error routine down here, which is basically saying if an error happens of a particular kind, go to line 440, which if we scroll back up again, we can see that line 440 is over here, which is just a rem statement, which tells us to basically carry on with the program. So in effect, what it's saying is if error of error type 17 happens, ignore it. That's really all that error routine is doing. If the error is of something else, then essentially it tells it to print out a statement saying what the error is and what line number it's occurred on. So it's a very straightforward error handler. It's not really doing a huge amount, but it is working to ignore an error of type 17. And we'll look at error types in a future video. And then the last thing to comment on is this Vdu statement here. This is a very useful Vdu statement. Without going into too much detail, Vdu statements are a special kind of statement specific to the BBC Micro, and they control various operating system commands. This particular one, Vdu 23,1,0, semicolon 0, semicolon 0, semicolon 0, semicolon, will be very, very familiar to anybody that's ever typed in a type-in listing. It is a straightforward command that is used to disable the appearance of the prompt within the BBC Micro itself. So if we jump back into Beeb, we can see that in operation. Okay, so in Beeb, if I invoke that command, Vdu 23,1,0, and then 1, 2, 3, as follows, my cursor stops flashing. But if I was to call it 1,1, my cursor comes back again. So you can tell that for a game like Cosmic Invaders, we don't want that flashing cursor appearing on the screen because, of course, in the context of the game, there's no need to know where on the screen the cursor is because we're not typing in information into the BBC Micro, we're playing a game. So there we go. That's as far as we're going to take it in this video. So that's got us through the first 100 lines of the program. We've had a good exploration of the sound and envelope commands to make sense of lines 80, 90, and 100, and a quick little review of what lines 60 and 70 are up to. In the next video, we're going to move on and understand a bit more about Mode 7 and what that means as far as controlling the graphics of the game is concerned. I hope you'll join me for that video too, and until then, goodbye.